I finally finished my third base rankings, and I'm ready to break that down on today's action packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane, X at Matthew_Ane. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you may listen. If you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast, check us out on Subtext. Become a member of the Diamond Club. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can get started with big returns on FanDuel. New customers can place $5 bets, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. And guys, I got another good episode for you. I love this time of the year. I love breaking down and doing projections and seeing who I want and who I don't want and all that wonderful stuff. And we're breaking down third base. Third base is a fun position. You know, it's not the deepest, but it's deeper than others. There is some interesting players that I feel I'm probably going to be moving around after this episode. And then there's players that, I think are, a little bit more on the riskier side that I have ranked higher than guys that I think would be a little bit more stable in certain aspects, but it's just a matter of upside ceilings and things like that. So let's get into it. We'll break down. I'll tell you, why I have them ranked there, whether it's, the ceilings there, whether it's floor, and so on and so forth. But let's start off with Mr. Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland Guardians. He had a ridiculous season this year. And guess what? He's only 32 years old. Oh, he's still got at least another year of prime, if not two. I am excited. He had 620 at-bats this year, 114 runs, 39 doubles, 2 triples, 39 home runs, 118 ribs, 41 stolen bases. Oh, batted a lovely 279 and batted 872 on the OPS. I don't know why I said it like that, but sure. Man, he had a good season. Has just been all reliable for the longest time and just had another ridiculous year. I mean, the stolen base numbers are well exceeded expectation. Didn't foresee it happening. I'm surprised he actually wasn't able to pull off 40-40, but damn near close. Man, I don't know if he's going to relive this exact season. Let's put it this way. Jose Ramirez is an incredible talent, but to get 39 home runs, 41 stolen bases, I just don't foresee it happening again. It was a once-in-a-lifetime season, but the power is legit. Like, I think he'll get anywhere from, 32 to 36 home runs on a reg Cs. I think the ribs and runs were a little bit on the higher end side, but even that drops into the 90s, which I think is likely. I think that's fair. I think stolen bases drop into, mid to high 20s. Could possibly crank over the 30 mark. He still has it in. The speed is there and everything of the sort. And batting average is right on par. 279, 280. He's a career 279 hitter, through 11 years of his pro career. So I can't really get mad at, this. And quite honestly, he's a first round pick for me. Last year I was kind of on the fence of, did I think that he was going to be able to do, be that valuable? And, he was probably like, towards the 10th, 11th, 12th pick. This year he's, scooting on up. That 5 elite category contributor, I think is definitely worth it. And he's just been so good for so long, and you just know what you're going to get out of Jose Ramirez. He's my number one third baseman. It just he has a really good solid floor. He's going to return value, and then on top of that, you know, he has a ceiling of like a season like this where he's just going to go completely off and go completely ape and just say, like I'm just going to just take over the league and take the league by storm. And I want to say, ape, but I can't see show, so I can't say that. So, but he went completely crazy. Good for Jose Ramirez. Absolutely incredible season from him. I'm super excited to draft him in 2025. He's gonna be amazing. Like, let's go. Next guy here, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We talked about him being the number one first baseman overall. I think that's fair. In terms of third, though, this is the disadvantage I have with him. Right, he doesn't chip in the stolen bases, and that's really the difference maker between him and Jose Ramirez. Yes, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. can possibly have a 50 home run season. That's great, but is he going to steal bases? Absolutely not. He had two last year, career high of 8. You know, also, power is all good and all, but I just the 5 elite category contributor, that's the difference maker. But is he definitely going to be the third baseman? Absolutely. No question, no doubt in my mind. As long as he's able to repeat or come close to what he did last year, we're going to have a good time. I think you can actually beat it. I think there's positive regression in it for this year. I think you can get over 30 home runs. I think the run and ribs are definitely attainable. And the batting average, I think, yes, was probably a career year, but 280 to 300 is definitely in the realm of possibility. 323 is just bonkers. But for him to do that, I think you can get close to 3, and we'd have a great season from him. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., we've been speaking high praises on. I don't feel I need to get too deep. Go back to Monday's episode if you want a little bit more of a deeper take on Vlad. But ultimately, going to be great. There's no doubt about it. Let's move on. Let's talk about Austin Riley, who had a very disappointing season this year in 2024. Him and the Atlanta Braves just overall just were not as good as they should have been. A team that you know led all of baseball and like I believe it was WAR in 2023, and just had like the most ridiculous counting stats as a whole. To then come into this season and not really have it. On top of that, Riley went down to some injuries and only managed to play about 110 games. Still, you know, the season still left as a lackluster season even for him. 425 at bats, 63 runs, 26 doubles, 2 triples, 19 bombs, 56 ribs, 37 walks to 118 strikeouts. He batted 256. Like, what? That is so unlike him. The lowest batting average before this year was 273, not including his rookie year in 2019. Yeah, or 2020, which we're not going to count either. Post-COVID season, he's been incredible. 303, 273, 281. Like, come on. Like, we just don't expect this from the 27-year-old, now 28-year-old. So you look at it, you just got to take it with a grain of salt this season and just expect for him to return. The talent just doesn't disappear magically. We have 3 seasons hitting over 30 home runs, and last 2 seasons hitting 37 and 38 home runs, with ribbies being in the 90s, runs ranging from 90s to 100s. Like, that just doesn't disappear. The team production was down, like we keep saying. There is no doubt in my mind that Austin Riley is not going to bounce back along with those Atlanta Braves. Austin Riley would not surprise me if he comes out and hits 100 and 135 home runs, batting 275. That's exactly what we want from him. Now, we'll probably be able to get him at a discount this year. Last year, he was being drafted in like the second round, the third. And this year, we might be able to catch him in the fourth, which I think is going to be a steal, or into the third. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, we got to take advantage of it. He's on a bounce back list for me, which I'm really excited for. Redraft leagues, we need to be targeting him. We need to be all over it and have Austin Riley go off on our rosters this year. I am not worried whatsoever. It's not like he's 34 and we're seeing this kind of season. He's 20 just finished his 27th-year-old season. I can't fathom him just imploding and his whole career is done. It's just completely unlikely. Yeah, sorry for the little hiccup. It's just unlikely for Austin Riley to just go backwards and talent to just absolutely disappear. So that being said, draft that Austin Riley with absolute confidence. 2025 is going to be that resurgence year and going to probably be a league winner if we're able to get him at a nice discount. But guys, coming up next, we're going to talk about, who we should draft higher. Raphael Devers, Manny Machado, and what to do with Royce Lewis. Is he going to be what we need him to be? Or is he going to be just a cautionary tale that ends up being like Alberto Mondesi? Find out all that next. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you have a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats of you live play-by-plays and so much more on the same page where you place all your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And guys, might as well help you make that $5 bets count. So bet against the Giants. It's honestly, sadly, the best strategy out there. So they just can't seem to buy a win for the like of them. So let's bet against them every single time. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Rely on our dynamic content this offseason. Get our redraft rankings, our dynasty rankings, prospect rankings, sleepers, breakouts, busts, values, bounce backs, all this stuff that you can't get on this 30-minute podcast because you're only going to get Domini's, either consensus or, just 5 guys from each list. Like, it's just not going to be the full list. Dom and I go deep and we really make sure we're avoiding all these players. So you're going to want to know who to avoid, who to draft, and who to come after. And all that comes in the subtext. Check us out. Links in the description below. But all right, we're getting back into it. I'm hyped. I'm excited. And let's talk about Mr. Manny Machado, my 4th overall third baseman. Oof, what a season. I worried for no reason. And you know what? I am willing to admit when I was wrong. And I was wrong this year. I apologize. I said to avoid him. I was worried with the injury. And Manny Machado said, double barrel, no thank you. I'm going to be just as good as I've always been. And he did. 593 at bats, 77 runs, 30 doubles, 29 bombs, 105 ribs, 11 stolen bases, batted .275. Wow. Good for you, bro. He came at such a discount this year, too. He really was a difference maker coming down the stretch and truly thrusting your team to the championship if you had him. He was so good this year. Oh, I avoided him everywhere, and I want to kick myself in the butt. But hey, when you have all the facts in front of you, you can only make the best possible educated guess going into the season. And what is going to be the most likely outcome. And you have to essentially, avoid a player at a certain point, especially when they cost so much. And you know what? You got to be conservative in certain aspects. And unfortunately, Manny Machado just wasn't making me feel good about it. It is what it is. But good for him. 2025, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be 32. Like he's old man Sanders. He's still got it. Still rocking. That team might even get better. There's a possibility. They land Pete Alonso. It's going to be interesting. You're going to add a little bit more power in that depth. Fernando Tatis is stellar. Let's go. Manny Machado only has more ahead of him. I'm super excited for this dude, and I'm definitely not scared to draft him at third base. Definitely feel confident in it. I'll tell you otherwise soon. Let's move on. Let's talk about Raphael Devers. I have him ranked at number 5 in my third base, which you may say I'm crazy. But at the same time, I don't really care. Devers, I'm surprised this didn't work. Here we go. Devers is somebody that I just can't get behind. He started off real slow this year and doesn't have a team there that I feel wonderful about, right? Yes, Casas is coming back. They've been pretty okay, but there's some limitations. I think in the runs ribby department, there's some limitations, and I don't think that he has the upside like the Machados and the Austin Rileys and the Vladimir Guerrero Juniors and the Jose Ramirez that Devers just falls under and falls short with that. Only 87 runs and 83 ribs this year, but 28 home runs is nice, and he has the ability to hit 40. I think that's in him without a doubt. And batting average is 272, which right on par. He's a 279 career hitter. So like all that kind of lines up. He did really well. You can't really get mad at production. Yeah, we would have liked him to hit 30 home runs, but 28 ain't atrocious. But the ribbies and the runs, they were down. Runs not so much, but the ribbies were definitely down. And that is just the difference. But you got to look at it. When you're up here talking about these kind of players, you're splitting hairs, right? It's just a matter of who do I think is going to have the best possible outcome, return on draft price, who am I willing to really, stake my season on, and you got to split hairs. You got to look at okay, who has the best floor, who has the best ceiling, and then kind of weigh your options and see, okay, best ceiling, best floor. That's where you're going to kind of have the highest, and then kind of part and part and part and part and part and part until you're at the bottom of the period. And you're just like, oh my god, I'm doing a split. It sucks. It's uncomfortable. Like, why am I going to draft this guy? But that's what it is, you know. And that's really where Devers is. He's at that part where like I still feel like there's a good floor, but there's not a high ceiling yet. So kind of just gonna take a pause, take a step back, and just not avoid, but not my favorite person to draft. I usually don't end up with him anyway because of that. I just end up kind of going after a higher end player around the price that he's going. But that's just me. But we're gonna move on. Let's talk about Royce Lewis. Very controversial, very like painful. I feel like I got heartburn talking about him. Sorry for you, those on the audio. I was taking a sip. Royce Lewis, man, when he actually manages to be out on the field, he's incredible. Like it's not even a question. Just is he going to be out on the field? We're going to see what we saw this in 2024, where opening game he hits dinger, and going for a triple and then pulls hammy. I hope not. But this is around possibility. He can't stay healthy. He has two bad knees, and with knees come hamstring strains and tightness and soft tissues, and the things like that kind of just usually act up and have you miss games. But the difference is though, when you miss half a season, you only manage to get 292 at bats. That is the big deal, especially at the draft price we paid for him. We were paying a third last year for him because the upside was just legit, but it did not pan out because he missed a good chunk of the season. He's part of the reason why I lost last year in a couple leagues because I thought he was going to be able to do it. But hey, kind of bring me back to earth. I got to kind of be a little bit more realistic with him now. And you just got to say, hey, look, when he's healthy, you want him there, but you don't really want to trust him. Let's hope the price comes down so we can make him affordable and enjoy drafting him and not be like, oh my God, did I just kick myself in the balls essentially? But like Royce Lewis just has that outcome. But like, what is his ceiling essentially? His ceiling is 30 and change home runs. Stolen bases, another thing that I think is in his repertoire that we really haven't seen in the bigs. You go to his minor leagues though, and the dude actually has some wheels, and he has stolen bases out the wazoo. Okay, he has had seasons where he's stolen 22, 28, 16, 12, has the 18. Like he has the potential to go off and steal bases like there's no tomorrow. Like that's never a question. Ability has never been a question for Royce Lewis. It's really just been, can he stay healthy? Towards ACL, stopped him being called up. Towards ACL the second he came up. Oh my god! And then finally he's back. And then hammy, groin, yay, so much fun, yeah. Owen Royce Lewis, so much fun. I didn't just stick this nail in my eyeball, did I? Ugh. But like no, but at the same time, like 30 home runs. And the team, he could totally get like 90 to 95 runs and ribs, and even maybe have the upside of 100. He's going to bat. Like a batting average is going to be there where he's going to go, I'm going to bat 300 one year. And it's just, I won't even be surprised. Batting average was uncharacteristic at 233. It definitely had a lot to do with the injuries. But like he's batted 309 in the same amount of bats, well, a little bit less than at bats in 2023. Like he does have great plate discipline. In 2023, he had 20 walks to 55 strikeouts. It's almost 50%. Like he does do good behind the plate. He has a great eye. He's a pure hitter. I love it. And then in the 292, at bats, he still managed to hit 16 home runs this year. Like the dude seriously has all the tangibles. He just needs to stay out on the field. Let's hope this year happens. But I'm going to be drafting him only if he's falling, because if he's going in the third, fourth round, he's going to be bust. Because I can't, well, not a bust. He's going to be an avoid or high risk kind of player, right? We're put it like a red dasher on him because, I'm just not feeling wonderful about it. It's a really big risk. Sometimes big risk, big gambles win you championships as well. So we'll see. I don't know how I feel about it until I start seeing ADP. Coming up next, we're going to round out with, the end of this bottom half. I hopefully get to them all. But Jazz Chisholm's coming up. What to do with him? Jordan Westberg yet again, and Josh Young, Alex Bregman, and Junior Caminero. Let's see if we can get through everybody. All right, now let's get into it. Jazz Chisholm of the New York Yankees. Oh man, you know it's interesting. I'm glad we got him, but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know. He's another one that can't stay healthy for the life of him. You know, first season in the bigs where he managed to get 562 at bats. Usually always getting hurt. Did a good job on the Yanks. Batted about 273. 28 runs, 7 doubles, 11 bombs, 23 ribs, 18 stolen bases at that time. He had a good season, but like at the same time too, like he kind of was inconsistent. And like when he first got on the team, he was absolutely incredible. And then he kind of teetered off a little bit and then kind of showed up a little bit. But then in the playoffs, he was absolutely a no-show. And like it's so frustrating. But Jazz is so good. Like the talent is there. And that's never been a question either. He's the same boat as Royce Lewis. Like, yeah, can he hit home runs? Absolutely. Can he steal bags? You've seen it. Can he hit for average? Sure. But will he be out on the field next year? I don't know. I don't know. How many games is he going to play? I don't know. And that is the part where I just don't feel great about it. And we're just going to have to take a step back. We're going to have to say, okay, cool. We're going to draft them, but hopefully that price is right? Like 7th, 8th round. Then I'm talking about it. Then we're having a conversation. Is Jazz going to be on my team? Maybe. I feel okay with that kind of investment, you know? But if we're talking 4th, 5th, 6th round, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. I can't wait to start doing mock drafts so I can really show you what I mean. But, based off of what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing, I'm just not feeling good about it. Jazz Chisholm will be good. Just maybe not on my team. We'll see. Jordan Westberg, we all know how I feel about him. Now, I don't know if I'm drafting him for third, because the next guy is kind of my target at the position. Jordan Westberg is more of like a second baseman. Go listen to yesterday's podcast, and you'll hear all about Jordan Westberg and why I love him so much. But ultimately, long story short, he's gonna be great. But I'd be drafting him more for second base than I would be for third. The third base target, again, hopefully he can stay healthy this year, is Josh Young. Josh Young, you know, just would love, love, love to see him play a full season. I forgot what he hurt this year, but it was unfortunate. But it was prime to have a good year. And when he came back, he was good. He had 178 at bats, he had 19 runs, 5 doubles, a triple, 7 bombs, 16 ribs, 4 stolen bases, about a 264. Exactly what I expected. Right where he left off. Great power, hit decent average. Actually, stolen bases were actually a surprise. But, driving guys in and getting on base, like that's what he does. And he has power. Like this dude could hit 40, 45 home runs. I love him. Like he really does. He can crank that ball. And Josh Young is definitely my target at the position. He was mine last year, like I said, until he got hurt. Um, you know, he plays a full season. It's going to be special. He's somebody I'm definitely going to be trying to take advantage of and try and grab. I think he's going to be going discounted, double checked all the way. We might see him outside the top 100, and that's really where, I start going like this. If you're not watching on YouTube, I got my hands rubbing together. I'm drooling. Like I'm looking at a nice, tomahawk steak because Josh Young could seriously be the difference maker and the surprise kind of pick player that you're going to draft. And everybody's like, oh, man, we forgot about him. Oh, man, we missed. We whiffed. We thought he was not going to be able to stay healthy. Got to listen to Matt. I promise he's going to pan out. All right, let's talk about Alex Bregman. I talked about him on the Philly episode because, it's one of the destinations that he could possibly be. It's pretty likely, too. Phillies are trying to shop around Bohm. And, Alex Bregman can totally, slot in and be good for fantasy. Also want to see where he's going to be batting, too, if he kind of goes in, like, certain spots. His fantasy cap could be essentially capped as well, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. But also too, like I'm not like the biggest Bregman guy, especially for fantasy, right? Like he had a good season. Don't let me get it wrong, but like 79 runs on that team with 30 doubles and 26 bombs and 75 ribs, batting 260 is decent. It ain't mind blowing like 2023, He had 98 ribs and 103 runs. Like, this was a serious drop off. And yeah, if he goes to Philly, it'll be nice. But think about it. Like, he's betting fifth, sixth, because, like, look at this team, right? They got Turner, they got Casty, they got Schwarber, they got Harper. You got four guys right there that you have no shot at whiffing in. Plus, the manager gets really cute with lefty righty garbage, and which will sometimes slide him down into the lineup and is going to affect his production. So, like, I look at it and I go, Bregman, yeah, he's good, but how good is he going to be in this lineup? Is he going to have the opportunities to get the counting stats to live up to a draft price? That's why he's lower in my rankings. I feel like he's going to get a bump if he goes to the Phillies or goes to a big team. And, like, but it's all a matter of where he's going to be hitting that lineup to be able to produce and return on that fantasy value. And I think with Philly being the front runners right now for Alex Bregman, I'm gonna just like trying to pass or pray that he falls and everybody's kind of on the same page with me. And then he might be draftable. If not, he's out. He's gonna be a bust, I promise. But it is what it is. Now let's talk about this last guy here, Junior Caminero. Raised prospect, got the call. I am probably one of the guys I was super excited for this year. I think the most of. Um, Junior Caminero is somebody that we truly can't forget about. The dude has power. He has pretty good plate discipline, does hit for a decent average. He's had season at 274, 333, 324, 303. Like, he's done the minors. He looks so good. When he came up to the bigs this year, was able to show off, batted 250, which is definitely good for, I would say, like, his real first lick. 2023, he got like not even a cup of coffee. He got a coffee in an espresso cup. It wasn't even an espresso, but they didn't decide to bring him up until this around this year. I think he's definitely earned it. He had a nice little stint, 165 at bats, 15 runs, 9 doubles, a triple, six bombs, 18 ribs, 2 stolen bases, and batted 249. That's really nice, making a statement kind of player right there with the first shot out the gate. He has all the makings of being a superstar. Junior Caminero is somebody that you cannot overlook going into 2025. Like, I'm going to try and get him everywhere. Like, he's going to fall in drafts because of the unknowns, but I don't know. The hype might bring him up. We'll see. Baseball community is very weird with prospects. Like, look where they drafted Julio Rodriguez his rookie year. But he was a top end prospect. Dom and I knew, but not a lot of people really went full send on this kid. I am all about that. And Caminero is going to be a difference maker. And I seriously think we should be drafting him everywhere. Keep an eye out. Let's hope the ADP stays low. And we're going to have great rosters over around with him as possibly your UT. Oh, it will be fantastic. Because that's all I got for you today. I was actually able to burn through quite a few names. Thank you for being with me. Please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Check out my boy Sully over at Locked On MLB, giving you all that great off-season coverage. And please share this show with everybody under the sun. It really helps us out. More we grow, more we're going to be able to stick around. With that being said, guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace.